Hello and welcome to Talking Europe. For US President Donald Trump, mocking a country or a leader is not just a reality TV-style soundbite, it's an early warning sign of military action. Trump scorned Nicolas Maduro for, quote, playing tough before snatching the Venezuelan leader. Now he contemptuously talks of Denmark adding 2 more dog sleds to defend Greenland. Well, Europe does appear to be taking this latest threat seriously, with several EU and NATO members carrying out military exercises in and around Greenland, together with the Danish defense forces. But can European countries actually stop Trump from taking over Greenland? And how do they navigate this crisis when they also have to stay focused on Ukraine and Russia? Well, to try to answer some of these questions, I'm joined by Rasmus Jarlov, the chair of the Defence Committee in the Danish Parliament. He's an MP for the Conservative People's Party, and he joins me from Copenhagen. Thank you so much for being my guest, Mr. Jarlov. Let's cut to the chase. Do you think there is going to be an American invasion? What's your gut feeling at the moment?
We don't know. Well, we certainly hope not, and we still don't consider that the most likely scenario, because it would be so disastrous and so crazy and so damaging also for the Americans that we hope it will not happen. But we can't afford to rule it out. When the American government continuously refuses to take it off the table, of course we have to be prepared for that scenario also.
And what about these military exercises then, bringing together countries like France, Germany, the UK, Netherlands, Sweden and Norway? Are we seeing a kind of coalition of the willing taking shape here, do you think? And does this actually have a deterrent effect?
We are so grateful for the support we're receiving from France, from Germany, from other reliable allies. It means everything to us because, of course, we are a small country with 6 million people, and we cannot stand up to the Americans ourselves. So it is important that others step up in a situation like this, where we are under so much pressure as we are right now. We must show that we mean it and that we cannot allow anyone to take our territory. And make it clear that that would have disastrous consequences for the relations across the Atlantic. So this is a really important step in showing the willingness to defend the Arctic, not directed at the Americans, what is being done at the moment, but it shows a willingness to defend Greenland if needed.
Yeah, and that would mean, I mean, concretely, clashes between NATO member states, between the US on the one hand and these European members of NATO. I mean, that's the sort of the worst case scenario, isn't it?
That would be a horrible scenario for everybody, and nothing would be achieved for anybody. There would be absolutely no winners because the Americans already have access to Greenland. Annexing Greenland is not going to give them anything that they don't already have, where they have full military access. They can deploy as many troops, they can have as many bases as they want. They used to have about 30 bases, and they only have 1 today. They've completely downscaled their presence, but if they want to upscale it again, the door is wide open. If they want to do mining in Greenland, the door is also wide open. So annexing Greenland wouldn't gain anything that they don't already have, but it would cause a lot of problems because our relationship would be, I was going to say over. I think that's actually the reality. If we get attacked by someone, of course, the alliance is finished, and of course, we can't work together in the future, and we'd have to look for other partners, and we also have a complete meltdown of NATO, and I think the rest of Europe would also be in a very, very tough situation. So this is unnecessary, it's unjustified. Americans have no claim whatsoever to Greenland, and we hope it will not come to that, because everyone would lose.
I want to ask you quickly about the lobbying effort that was done by the Danish and Greenlandic foreign ministers in Washington, D.C. Over the last few days. Let's have a quick listen to Foreign Minister of Denmark, Lars Løkke Rasmussen.
For us, ideas that would not respect territorial integrity of the Kingdom of Denmark and the right of self-determination of the Greenlandic people are, of course, totally unacceptable. And we therefore still have a fundamental disagreement, but we also agree to disagree. And therefore we will, however, continue to talk.
Rasmus Jarlov, what do you make of that language and that attitude? I mean, some might say that it sounds like appeasement of Donald Trump, and that's something that perhaps doesn't work very well if we look at recent history, you know, the EU-US trade deal and things like that. What do you think?
Well, we're trying not to escalate the situation by using too strong words. So the foreign minister is very diplomatic, saying that there is a fundamental difference, which is his way of saying that the Americans want to take something that's not theirs, and we're not going to hand it over. So it's, of course, a difficult situation to solve, but we are trying to identify what we can do for the Americans in Greenland that they don't already have, keeping in mind that they already have full military access and they have access to invest in mining. If they can put up the money, they're welcome. But we'll try to talk with them as much as we can and see if we can do anything more for them, so we can avoid this becoming a worse confrontation than the verbal one we've already had. So I think that it's a good approach by the foreign minister, trying to de-escalate. But we also have to be very, very clear. We are not going to hand over Greenland.
Let's have a look at a few key facts on Greenland for our viewers. So it's obviously a huge land mass, surface area of 2,166,000 square kilometers, with a population of around 56,000. And also important to mention, I think, that the US recognized Danish sovereignty over Greenland in 1951, in the 1951 Defense of Greenland agreement with Denmark. There's an unambiguous recognition of Danish sovereignty. And I want us to listen quickly together now also to the head of the Greenlandic representation in Copenhagen, Jens Heinrich, speaking to me recently in our latest Europe Rendezvous show. Let's have a listen.
There's a desire from Greenland to have a stronger tie to EU. We have strategic minerals that could be exploited. There's a need for investments, and that would be the key area to cooperate on.
So, Rasmus Jarlov, perhaps this latest crisis is an opportunity for Greenland to actually get closer to the EU, to increase cooperation.
Absolutely. No question of that. Greenland wants to make business with the world, and specifically with Europe. So they're very interested in a stronger European presence. And we're very pleased to see that that's also going to be the outcome. Hopefully France will open a consulate in Greenland shortly, and there will be more cooperation. It's a great opportunity for the EU to do business with the Greenlanders, and also to maybe become involved in mining activities that could have a strategic importance for Europe as well.
Do you think the independence movement in Greenland is impacted by everything that we're seeing now around Trump and this takeover attempt?
Yeah, I have to say, I think it does. It's up to the Greenlanders, of course, to draw that conclusion, but it becomes very clear what is the alternative to being a part of Denmark, and that is to be swallowed by the United States. So, of course, that means that at the moment, Greenlanders right now are not talking about independence, because they first of all want to avoid to be taken by the Americans. And then they will work together with Denmark. And you also have to understand that independence for Greenland has never been just around the corner. They have never requested independence. Denmark takes care of everything from prisons to higher education to parts of the healthcare system, currency, embassy, defense, monitoring waters, airspace, and many, many other things. And gradually the Greenlanders are building up competences to take over more and more of that, to have more self-determination. But full independence is not something that's just around the corner. And therefore, you also have to understand that Greenland is placed very solidly in the Western Alliance together with Denmark.
We don't have a lot of time left, but I do want to bring in the Russian factor, because, of course, Denmark faced drone incursions last year that were attributed to Russia. How is the kingdom dealing with this pressure, both from the Kremlin and from the Trump administration?
Well, this is a very unwelcome and unnecessary distraction from our efforts in Ukraine. Denmark is the top contributor to Ukraine per person. no other population in the world where each person has given as much money as Denmark to Ukraine, and that's by a large margin. And we want to help Ukraine everything we can to defeat the Russians. We don't want to have to defend ourselves on the western flank as well. And now we have a distraction where we actually have to move troops up to Greenland. So far, small numbers. But this is a big win for Putin. And if he can split the Western alliance, if the Americans insist in annexing part of our territory, and he can split, maybe even destroy NATO, he is the big winner. It would be fantastic for him. He couldn't have achieved this. He couldn't have hoped for more than this situation.
Just very briefly, though, when you talk about Danish aid to Ukraine, is there not a plan to reduce that aid this year in 2026? I think that was news from the Danish Defense Ministry. And if so, that means that, does this reflect that you are actually being overstretched now?
No, we're not being overstretched. Denmark has a very strong economy. We have a big surplus on our government budget, and we can afford to continue to help Ukraine, and we will stand with Ukraine until they win over the Russians. We hope the rest of Europe will do the same, because we cannot allow Russians to take Ukraine. But also, of course, we cannot allow anyone else to start taking European territory. That's a line we just should not be allowed to cross. And therefore, again, we are very grateful for the support we are receiving at this moment. It means a lot to us, especially the leadership that France is taking.
We'll have to leave it there. Thank you so much for your very clear messages, Rasmus Jarlov, the chair of the Defence Committee in the Danish Parliament. And of course, you can also see our long format programme from Denmark, Europe Rendezvous, on our website, france24.com. Thank you so much for following us here on Talking Europe.